Donald Thurman attacked 19-year-old Ruth George because she ignored his catcalls while walking down the street.
The defendant thought she was pretty and tried talking to her, but the victim ignored him.
Prosecutors say surveillance video shows Thurman following George into the UIC parking garage on Halsted near Taylor. When she continued to ignore him, prosecutors say he put her in a chokehold until she passed out, dragged her to her car, and sexually assaulted her in the back seat.
I was actually walking along the streets of Bristol one night, and a man shouted to me that he was going to rape me, and he continued to shout it and to laugh, and for him it was just a joke, and for me it was extremely scary and weird.
My name is Sophie Sandberg, I'm 22 years old, and I'm the founder of Catcalls of NYC. A catcall is any rude or inappropriate comment said to someone in a public space, and it predominantly affects women and folks in the LGBTQ+ community because it is a type of gender-based harassment. So Catcalls of NYC is an Instagram account, an initiative that raises awareness about gender-based street harassment by using sidewalk chalk on the streets of New York. We solicit messages from people about what happened to them, where it happened, and then we write down the actual words that were said, where it happened, in sidewalk chalk alongside the hashtag Stop Street Harassment, and really get people to stop in their tracks and focus on the issue of street harassment. The message is kind of twofold of the whole project. The first kind of mission of the account is to make sure that everyone who faces harassment knows that they're not alone and knows that they have a place to share their story and be believed and be validated. And then the second mission of the account is obviously to end street harassment through making more people aware that it's happening. So people maybe who don't face harassment can step in if they see something happening. So I started it for a class project my first year of college. We had an assignment in my writing class to immerse ourselves in something and document it on social media. So I decided to immerse myself in street harassment because I was coming up against this feeling of not knowing how to respond to street harassment. I'd been facing it since I was 15, and I never felt like there was a good way to respond. I always felt silenced by the comments, extremely uncomfortable. It affected pretty much every aspect of my life and going outside and anticipating going outside. Then almost 2 years later, in December 2017, that's when it got picked up by different news outlets. That's when it went from having 900 followers to having 10,000 followers, literally in 24 hours. So many people were sharing their stories, and it started to just grow exponentially and continue to build. I realized that in order to have it grow more, to share more people's stories, I had to involve other people and not just keep it as my own project, but have it be a community. People have just messaged me and asked, can I bring this to my city? How do I start it? It's grown to like 150 places around the world other than New York. There are a bunch in California, there are on the East Coast, in the Midwest, in Paris, one in London, one in Amsterdam, a bunch in Germany, in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, India, Lima, Peru, Bogota, Colombia. There's some in Australia. They're literally everywhere.
I'm Daisy, I'm 27, and I live in Brighton. I run Catcalls of Brighton, which is in the southeast of England.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Adam. I live in Santa Barbara, California, and I started Catcalls of Santa Barbara.
My name is Sarah Moore. I'm 17 years old, and I run Catcalls of Buffalo on Instagram.
My name is Amri Rukhsar Munir Alam. I am 17 years old and I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
My name is Serenity. I'm 18 from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm a chalker for the Chalkback movement.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm 21 years old and I'm from Catcalls of UB. Hi, I'm Tia. I'm 20 years old and I'm also from Catcalls of UB.
Hi, my name is Mia. I'm 16 years old and I'm one of the administrators of Catcalls of Berlin in Berlin, Germany.
Hi, I'm Alvira. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Italy.
A lot of people feel so empowered that they've started doing this in their community.
I want to be a part of this movement because I want to change the world for the better.
I want to raise awareness so that we can feel safe enough to take a stroll through our city if we want to.
So our campaign started when we were inspired by Catcalls of NYC. Because of the recent and the urgent cases that we had of sexual assault on campus, we decided that it would be relevant to start our own Catcalls in Trinidad, so especially on campus. So we partnered with the Institute of Gender Development Studies and their group called Ignite, and that's how we started.
It doesn't have to be your life, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even if you just educate or spark curiosity in one person, that's enough.
My experience has been empowering and educational. People have reacted very positively to the account's activism. Many have reached out wanting to help Chalk, and we even have a Chalker team.
I realised it was a problem that girls everywhere, women everywhere, all over the world are still experiencing in a time that people think we are post-feminist.
Feminism has always been quite important to me, but I never took part in a project against street harassment, so this seemed like an important chance. And so far it has been an amazing experience, connecting with feminists from all over the world, listening to their experience, sharing my experience. It's been really inspiring.
And I love the idea of taking this issue back to the streets where the problem is occurring in the first place. So people walking past kind of had to be confronted with the reality of what it was like for that person in that spot, because I think this has been a problem that we've been used to since we were really young, and we kind of accept it as part of normal society, and actually we don't have to accept that. We shouldn't have to accept that.
The people in my surroundings, they did experience it a lot. My friends, my family, so cousins, my sisters, they did receive a lot of catcalling, and even though it wasn't to me, I felt mad because I thought it's not okay. And here in the Netherlands, it's very normalized, and that's not okay. It should not be normalized.
It tackled very important issues that we need to talk about more in Italy and in Turin in a way that is easily doable and approachable.
I was surprised by how many people were open to sending their stories when the account was started. I knew that there was an issue regarding harassment in Santa Barbara, but the community's trust in this account proved that the issue was much larger than what I expected.
Change does not happen overnight, but it does happen.
I've actually learned how to stand up for myself when I get catcalled, and I've learned how to respond to people when they share their stories. It makes them feel safe, and you can tell by looking at them that they feel safe telling you.
I learned from being in Catcalls of being a co-founder's leadership and how we would sympathize with other people and what they go through. Sometimes you read the messages and you say, wow, this actually happened, and you get to sympathize with the person, and you actually get a reason to make a change because you don't want it to perpetuate.
I have learned that it can be scary to go out and chalk these things in fear of being harassed or stopped by the police for some reason, but that knowing you're spreading awareness and doing it for a good cause helps to ease that anxiousness and instead maybe even make you feel powerful.
Each context is so different. Like chalking in Dhaka, Bangladesh is so different than chalking in New York City. The woman who runs the account in Dhaka wants to stay anonymous because she's worried that she could get in so much trouble for having her identity out there. She could face threats. There's an account in Nairobi called Catcalls of Kenya, and she said that, yeah, it was so empowering chalking for the first time because it was the first time in her country that someone was taking this action. The reactions when I'm chalking are really mixed. Sometimes people get it immediately and say, I love this, thank you so much for doing this, I've had similar experiences. Sometimes people say, this is disgusting, how dare you write this on the street? Maybe kids will see it, how could you be such a negative influence for children? So that's really ironic because obviously these things are already being said right where I'm writing them, and people are just upset that they have to see them because they maybe aren't the ones who would have to hear them otherwise. So if you see someone who has just been catcalled or harassed, the simplest thing is to just go up to them and say, hey, are you okay? What happened? I think that's a really simple way that makes people feel so much better in the moment. The other option is obviously to confront the harasser and say that's not cool. And that's also a huge deal because then you're not only showing the person who is just harassed that it's not okay, you're also showing everyone around in that space that someone is gonna say something if you harass. So it creates a different environment on the street. So predominantly like cis straight men have a lot of privilege in public spaces, especially white men in public space have a lot of privilege and power to say something. Stopping it is a really slow process, and it takes a lot of stamina and commitment. The more victims of harassment who are empowered and feel like, no, I know this is not okay and this is not acceptable, that slowly makes cultural change, along with the bystanders who are saying, this is not okay, this is not acceptable.
I've had conversations where people taught me to just get over it, or people telling me that it's not important what we do. But that could never stop us, especially with this whole movement just growing and becoming more and more important.
I've received so much positive support that pushes me forward. It makes me excited for the future and hopeful that this change is coming.
It feels like we're actually reaching something, which is always amazing.
The network that we are creating is so strong, and it's full of beautiful people which help the world make a better place every day with just their effort.
If people really don't know, they can find out, and we are willing to tell them and to talk about it.
Activism is an empowering and positive thing that anyone can do and that anyone can be a part of. And that whatever you do, no matter how small it may seem, when it helps to make the world a better place, it's worth it and it's important.
I'm just going to keep going until something changes.
You don't have to be superwoman or superman to do activism and try to change things. Strong beliefs and some chalk will do.
Follow at Catcalls of NYC. If you want to volunteer with Catcalls of NYC, we're always looking for new people with new skills who want to collaborate. So please get involved.